When you eliminate backup plans, everything changes. You stop negotiating with your fears. You stop tiptoeing through your goals, and you start charging at them with everything you've got. It forces you to operate with a different kind of energy, a sharper mindset, because now you know there's no cushion to land on, no lifeline waiting in the background. You either figure it out or you fall flat, and that pressure, that urgency, it's where transformation begins. Most people play life with one foot in and one foot out. They say they're chasing something big, but they're only halfway in. They've got a fallback job, a backup plan, a safety net just in case it doesn't work out. But here's the truth. If you give yourself a way out, you'll use it the second things get hard, and they will get hard, that's guaranteed. Pain is coming, doubt is coming, failure is coming. But when you've burned the boats, when the bridge behind you is gone, the only path left is the one forward. That's when real growth begins. No plan B means full accountability. It means betting on yourself in a way most people are too afraid to do. It's walking into the storm without a jacket and saying, "I'll figure it out on the way." That kind of pressure forces adaptation. It brings out the version of you that's buried under comfort, excuses, and distractions. It strips away the fluff and leaves behind raw determination. It's easy to dream big when you've got something soft to land on. But if you want to play at the highest level, if you want to live with zero regret, then you've got to remove the exits. You've got to burn the boats and stand firm in your decision. That's how you find out what you're really made of. That's how you uncover the fire, the fight, and the finish inside of you. So forget the safety nets. Forget the second chances. There's no retreat, no turning around, just the mission, just the mountain in front of you. And when the only option is to climb, you stop wasting time. And you start moving like your life depends on it. Because it does. When you commit to your dream like your life depends on it, everything else starts to align. The hesitation fades, the excuses vanish, because now you're not just interested, you're invested. Fully, you've drawn the line and you've said, "This is it. I'm not walking away. I'm not waiting around. I'm going to make it happen." That kind of clarity gives your actions weight. It adds purpose to every decision, every rep, every hour. This isn't about motivation that comes and goes. This is about obsession. When you treat your dream like it's oxygen, you don't need someone to wake you up or fire you up. You're already awake. You're already on fire. You don't care if it's raining. You don't care if you're tired. You don't care if nobody believes in you, because this isn't about them. This is about you showing yourself that you can become who you said you'd be. People say they want it, but most never really commit. They talk big, but their actions are small. They show up when it's convenient. They give up when it gets uncomfortable. But if your dream means something to you, if it really matters, then you've got to treat it like survival. Like there's no life without it. That's how you unlock that next level. That's how you separate from the crowd. You don't get to where you want to go by hoping. You get there by working with urgency, with intensity, with complete ownership. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize there's no such thing. The moment is now, and you show up like everything is on the line, because it is. Every day you hesitate, you lose ground. Every day you second, guess someone else is gaining on you. So act like your future is counting on today. Like your family's legacy depends on your decisions. Like the version of you 5 years from now is watching and waiting to see what you're going to do with this opportunity. Show up with that kind of focus, that kind of drive, and you won't need luck. You won't need permission. You'll take your shot, and you'll keep swinging until the wall breaks, the door opens, or the dream is yours, all in, no plan B. When there's nothing to fall back on, you find out what you're really made of. You don't coast. You don't play it safe. You go into every moment with sharp intent because the margin for error is gone. You operate like your back's against the wall because it is, And the beauty of that position is this: pressure either breaks people or it builds them. If you've burned the boats and removed your exit strategy, then pressure becomes your greatest weapon. You've got to understand, comfort is a killer. It lulls you into a state of almost. You almost went after your dream. You almost got serious. You almost became great. That happens when you've got backup plans. When there's a plan B waiting to catch you, your mind starts drifting, your fire starts fading, your edge dulls. But when failure isn't an option, when you've closed every door behind you and locked your eyes on one goal, you elevate. You become smarter, tougher, more resourceful. People forget that adversity is the greatest coach. It teaches you how to pivot, adapt, and push through. But if you've got a safety net, you never let yourself lean into that fire. You panic and pull the parachute. You fold before the lesson can forge you. But when you remove the net, you learn how to fly under pressure. You become comfortable with chaos, and in that chaos you find clarity. It's easy to say you're committed when things are going well. It's easy to show up when the results are showing. But what happens when the plan falls apart? When your body's sore, your mind's tired, and the goal still looks far away? That's when most people check out. That's when they say, maybe this wasn't meant for me. But you didn't leave a way out. You've got no choice but to find a way through, and that's where the breakthrough lies. There's no growth in retreat. No greatness in hesitation. If you want to become something rare, something unforgettable, you've got to be willing to risk it all. Bet on yourself when no one else will. Stand tall in the storm and say, this is the path I chose, and I'm not leaving until I finish what I started. When you've got nothing to fall back on, you rise. When you go all in, you stop entertaining distractions. There's no time to scroll mindlessly, no energy left to waste on opinions that don't move you forward. You're locked in, laser, focused. Every minute matters, every rep counts, every decision carries weight. That's what happens when you eliminate Plan B. Your clarity sharpens, and your priorities realign around one thing: the mission. Most people scatter their focus. They spread their energy across too many options, too many paths, too many maybes. But greatness doesn't live in maybes. It lives in musts, in obsession, in the discipline to say no to everything that doesn't align with your ultimate goal. Because when you're chasing something that matters, when you're truly invested, distractions become the enemy. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you know the cost of wasting time. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you're saying no to your purpose. And when there's no backup plan to fall back on, you start guarding your time like a warrior. You stop trying to please everyone. You stop trying to fit in. You stop entertaining excuses because you've made a decision to give this dream everything you've got. Not 60%, not when it's easy, every single day. The truth is, distractions are comfortable. They give you a quick escape when the grind gets tough. But that's exactly why they're dangerous. They give you an out when you promised yourself you'd stay locked in. If you want to be different, if you want to separate yourself from the pack, you've got to discipline your focus. You've got to protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. There are no shortcuts, no hacks, just deep, focused work over time. That's how legacies are built. That's how legends are made. The ones who win aren't more talented. They are more consistent. They train when others party. They study while others sleep. They execute when others hesitate. That's the price of going all in. So stop letting your attention drift. Stop letting the noise pull you off course. If this dream really matters, prove it with your focus. Make every moment count, every action intentional, and keep moving like someone who's already burned the boats and now has only one direction to go: forward. Relentlessly. When you decide there's no plan B, you start holding yourself to a higher standard. You don't need someone looking over your shoulder. You don't need a crowd cheering you on. You become your own motivation, your own coach, your own accountability. Because now, it's not about impressing anyone. It's about delivering on the promise you made to yourself. You said you'd go all in. So now you've got to walk like it. Think like it. Work like it. The moment you eliminate the safety net, you remove the excuses. There's no more blaming your situation, no more pointing fingers. You're either getting it done or you're not. And when you start seeing it like that, you start rising. You start catching yourself when you slip. You stop giving 70% and calling it effort. You know better now. You know half. Effort gets half-alts. And half-alts don't cut it when your back's against the wall. The standard becomes personal, not because anyone's watching, but because you're watching. Every time you hit snooze instead of getting up, you feel it. Every time you skip the workout, cut corners, or let your discipline slip, you feel it. That discomfort, that guilt, that's your potential tapping you on the shoulder, reminding you who you said you'd become. And here's the key. When you operate with that kind of integrity, you build trust with yourself. And that trust is everything. Because success isn't just about skills or talent. It's about knowing deep down that you will follow through. That when things get hard, you won't fold, you'll rise. Because you've trained yourself to answer the call, day in and day out, no matter what. You want to win, then raise your standard. Not just when the lights are on, but especially when no one's watching. Be the one who outworks everyone in the room, not for praise, but because that's who you are now. That's what all in looks like. No plan B means no shortcuts, no half measures, just pure, relentless accountability to the mission. And once you start living like that, once you start expecting more from yourself than anyone else possibly could, everything starts to shift. You stop chasing motivation and you start embodying greatness. When you remove the fallback, something primal kicks in. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop overthinking, stop doubting, stop asking for permission. You just move, you execute. Because the moment you commit with everything you've got, fear doesn't disappear, it gets drowned out by purpose. You don't have time to dwell on what could go wrong. You're too busy doing what must be done. The problem with most people is they let fear be the loudest voice in the room. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. But perfection is a myth. It's a mask fear wears to keep you stuck. And the longer you wait, the louder that fear gets. But when you burn the boats and there's no turning back, you force yourself into action. You push through the noise. You stop asking, what if I fail? And you start asking, what if I don't? That shift changes everything. You go from tentative to aggressive, from hesitant to relentless. Because now, the only way out is through. You stop dipping your toe in the water and you dive in head first. No safety net, no backup plan, just you and the mission. And when fear does show up, and it will, you stare it down and keep going anyway. That's where courage is built, not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of purpose greater than the fear. The truth is, fear never leaves, but if you give it less room to breathe, if you fill your mind with action, discipline, and vision, it loses its grip. You don't need to feel fearless to act fearless. You just need to move forward anyway. And when you do that over and over, you start to realize fear is just a gatekeeper. On the other side of it, growth. Power, greatness. Most people stay stuck because they keep waiting to feel ready. But when you've burned the boats, you don't wait to feel anything. You just move, and in that movement, you find your edge. You build your confidence. You become the kind of person who doesn't just chase goals. You conquer them. Not because you weren't afraid, but because you refused to let fear hold the pen to your story. When you commit with no way out, something deep inside you awakens, a sense of ownership. Suddenly, this isn't just about reaching a goal. It's about who you become along the way. When you burn the boats, you stop being a passenger in your own life. You take the wheel. You take responsibility not just for the wins, but for the losses, the setbacks, the hard days, and the moments when nothing seems to work. That kind of ownership doesn't happen when there's a plan B. It only comes when you've made the decision to own everything. You begin to realize that success isn't just a result. It's a responsibility. You stop hoping someone's going to show up and rescue you. You stop waiting for better conditions or someone to give you a chance. You become your own chance, and that ownership, that's where power lives. That's where identity shifts from I'm trying to I am. You don't point fingers anymore. You look in the mirror and say, this is on me. Whether you win or lose, show up or sit out, it's on you. That mindset turns you into a force. It makes you dangerous in the best way. Because people who take full ownership are people no one can stop. They're the ones who rise no matter how many times they fall. They're the ones who don't fold under pressure. They build under pressure. It's not about pretending you've got it all figured out. It's about owning your process, owning your commitment, owning the fact that you're all in, even when you're unsure, even when it's messy, even when no one claps, because that's the difference between those who wish and those who win. Those who win take full responsibility for the work, for the discipline, for the outcome. And when you've burned the boats, you don't have time to make excuses. You don't have room for blame. You just get to work. You sharpen your habits. You upgrade your mindset. You stack good days, one after another, because you know there's no other way. You either step up and own the mission, or you fall short and own that too. But here's the thing. Once you learn to take full ownership, no one can take that away from you. That becomes your edge, your advantage. And ultimately, your legacy.